One of the number one reasons why women struggle with dating and relationships today is that they choose men who are not ready for anything real. Ladies, there are lots of great relationship-ready men out here. However, you need to learn how to choose them. I wrote this book to teach you how to do just that. Get your copy of Choose Well, a simple formula to determine the best man for you on Amazon today.
Good morning. All right, so I wanted to jump on really quickly and talk with you a little bit about something that is incredibly important if you are going to have relationship success. And we don't talk about it enough, but I'm going to talk about it briefly here. And it is how you resolve conflict. It's how you fight and how you resolve conflict with your romantic partner. That is one of the greatest indicators of if the relationship will be successful or not. And it's one of the 8 C's that I do discuss with clients when they come in for premarital, pre-engagement, when they come in for marriage therapy. It's one of the 8 C's, which is conflict resolution skills, and how you fight, how you resolve conflict. It's important that the couple actually has a similar conflict resolution style. If they are wildly different, that could kind of make or break the relationship. What do I mean by that? So if someone is very passionate, very fiery, they get wound up very quickly, and they go from 0 to 100. They say a bunch of things while they're arguing or fighting, and then later claim, oh, I didn't mean that. I said that in the heat of the moment. Okay, so that type of person mixed with a cool, calm, collected, I don't hit below the belt, I don't get riled up like 0 to 100, I don't pop off. See, those are 2 different conflict resolution style people. And over the long haul, that will not work. It won't make it because one of them is going to get wore out. One of them is going to start to feel a way about this. They're going to start to feel broken down, tore down every chance, that they get. And it's just not going to last long term. I would say the same about people who, let's say you have 2 cool, calm, and collected people who really don't address the conflict. They really don't. They brush things under the rug. They're 2 of the same types of people. So things happen, they really don't address it. They really don't say anything about it. They brush it under the rug. They're cool, calm, and collected. They see conflict not as a way to deepen intimacy. They see conflict as a really, really bad thing. And so they avoid it at all costs. So if you have 2 people like that, you also long term may not make it because you've got to address things. You've got to speak up. You've got to advocate for yourself. You've got to talk with words. I always tell people, verbal or in writing, you have to express yourself and what's going on. And the sooner you do that, the better. But those 2 people will struggle. They say that the type that probably could stand the longest is actually 2 people who are fiery. 2 people who are fiery, who are passionate, who are 0 to 100, but then they also come down really quickly. They actually say that that's actually a really good match because those 2 people kind of understand where the other person's coming from. They have a similar conflict style. And so, yeah, they're going to get all riled up, but then they're going to come down quickly. They're going to forgive easily. They actually say that's a really good match, which to me, I wouldn't think so. Why would you want a knockdown drag out every 5 seconds? But I teach couples how to fight fair. I teach them never to hit below the belt. To me, that is a sign of emotional immaturity. Never hit below the belt. Never use someone's weakness or vulnerabilities against them. Never throw up in someone's face something they told you in confidence. Like, there are some rules that I want all couples to live by, even in conflict. And this excuse that people have of, oh, I was mad. I was mad. I was hurt. That is not an excuse to mistreat somebody. That's not an excuse to throw something from their past up in their face. Like, that's not going to fly. That excuse is not going to fly. And you have to grow up. You have to learn how to regulate your nervous system. You have to learn how to disagree without being disagreeable. So that's just not going to fly. When people come in my office and say that, I'm like, that's not going to fly. That's not going to fly. You have to find other ways to manage yourself. So the number one tool that I give to my couples is the timeout. And what's funny to me is people do not use the timeout. They don't respect the timeout. It is one of the most valuable tools that you have, which is getting out of control, is you getting riled up, you getting beside yourself, and one or both of you says, look, we're getting out of control, we're getting riled up, we're going to a point of no return. Let's take a break. Let's take a break from this conversation. Let's decide when we're going to meet back up to talk about it again. And then you take a break. And you distract yourself. You go on to do something else, something unrelated to this fight or this argument. You journal, you watch a show, you clean, you do some laundry or whatever. And then at the designated time, you come back together and you discuss again. But this idea of, we're gonna resolve this right now. We're gonna, have a knockdown, drag out. That is not healthy. And even the idea of never going to bed angry. And I would put a spin on that. No, I don't think you should be, quote, angry, but you can go to bed unresolved. You can go to bed feeling a way, because everything is not going to be tied up in a tight bow in a certain amount of time or in 24 hours. So I think it's unrealistic to think that you're not going to go to bed, feeling a way. I think that's perfectly fine. You feel a way. We will live to talk about it another day. But this idea that we're supposed to resolve everything and everything will get taken care of within a certain, short period of time, that's unrealistic. That's unrealistic. You have got to take breaks. You've got to notice the physical symptoms of I'm getting upset, I'm getting angry, and I can feel it. I feel triggered. I feel angry. You know what? I need to stop talking. I need to stop, we need to stop talking. We need to take a break because I'm feeling triggered. I'm feeling angry. I'm feeling hurt. Something you just said has triggered something in me or made me angry. That's what adults do. Adult people are able to regulate themselves. They're able to recognize when they're not at their best. They're able to recognize I'm not 100% to have this conversation. And then they move accordingly. But if you are not emotionally mature, one of you is going to pop off. The other one is going to, shut down or stonewall. All of those things are not effective communication, and they're not good conflict resolution skills. They don't help. Let's put it that way. I'm going to teach you things that will actually help the situation, that won't make it worse, that won't make you all feel worse. That's what everyone should be striving for. Because when I talk to the pop-off people, the fiery people, I say, okay, is saying that, is doing that helping? And they'll admit, no, it's not. Okay, why are we doing that? If what you're doing is not helping to resolve the conflict, why are you doing it? Why are you making the conflict worse? So, we have to grow up. We have to become emotionally mature as adults, especially if you're going to be in an adult relationship or a marriage. Remember, marriage is for adults, not little kids, not emotionally immature. I can't control myself. I can't control my mouth. No, then you don't need to be married. You don't need to be married. If you're a little child, if you want to act like a little kid, if you want to be petty LaBelle, as they say, and you want to do tit for tat and go back and forth and all of that, you don't need to be married. I mean, if I'm being honest, there's a whole lot of people out here that shouldn't be married. But you have to learn the appropriate skills to manage relationships well. And one of those skills is conflict resolution. You have to develop a healthy conflict style that will actually promote healing, that will actually promote understanding each other, that will actually promote something positive. Okay? But this whole, and don't get me started on it getting physical. Like, that's a no-no. And to me, I'm just going to keep it real. If you are a woman and a man ever feels the need to push up on you, yell in your face, touch you in anger, it's a done deal. That's not even something I even want to work through. I'm just going to keep it 100. I do not work with people, and I learned this the hard way, y'all. I'm going to be honest. I learned this the hard way. I took on some couples that had conflict in their marriage. They had been through infidelity, and then the final straw was the domestic violence. So I took on couples that had experienced this, and knowing full well, Anita, you should not be doing this. This is probably going to trigger you. This is probably going to be a transference issue for you. You probably shouldn't be doing this. But took on these people, and that was a mistake. And so now that is one of my firm rules. I do not work with couples who've had a history of domestic violence in their relationship. I don't take them on. So that's one of the questions that I ask on my questionnaire. Has it ever gotten physical? Have you ever touched each other in anger? And then I list a bunch of things, spit on the other person, shove them, slap them, punch them with a closed hand. If you answer yes to any of those, I don't work with you. Because in my mind, I don't want to help that couple stay together. Like, I know that sounds, however you take that, that's what it is. I don't want to facilitate a reconciliation between those two people. In my mind, that's a deal breaker. Some people say, well, Anita, that's for you. What if the couple wants to work through it? Okay, then they need to find another counselor. They need to find another marriage counselor, because it's not going to be me. So in my mind, that goes against a very strong value that I have, and I'm just not going to do it. So I want the couple to be honest. If I find out later, I refer them out, because I know that's something that's definitely going to cause transference or countertransference. So I don't deal with it. If you are touching each other in anger, that is an absolute no. You have a lot of work to do. And that's for men toward women. That's for women toward men. I have told men, leave her alone. Leave her alone. She's dangerous. If she's willing to throw things at you and put her hands on you and push you and slap you and all it, that is you getting locked up. That is you getting locked up waiting to happen. So if you value your freedom, if you value your job and your freedom and your and all that, as soon as a woman strikes you, pushes you, spits on you, throws something at you, leave her alone. That is a dangerous woman. Because all that's going to do is lead to you getting locked up one day. Leave her alone. I don't care how you feel about her. I don't care how in love you are. I don't care if she is the mother of your children. She's dangerous. Okay? So, yeah, I don't do the physical altercations. Absolutely not. And you shouldn't either. To me, that is a standard that every person needs to set for themselves. And if you are continuing to deal with that type of aggression, that aggressive nature, I can't help you. I can't help you. Maybe someone else can, but I can't. That's not something, I want to be a part of. But if a woman came to me, I want to try to save my marriage, and We had this physical altercation or he tried to choke me. Yeah, talk to someone else. Don't come to me with that. I'm the last person you want to come to for help about that. Because like I said, to me, there's no excuse. There's absolutely no excuse. That's a total deal breaker. The end. The end. I don't have anything else to tell you about that. So you have got to develop a conflict resolution style that is calm and mature, that is relatively detached, that does not include any form of physical violence. You've got to develop a style where you can express yourself, and if it gets to a point where you can't, you take a break. You just take a break. You say, well, we've gotten to the point where I am, getting upset and I can't express myself in a healthy way anymore. I need to take a break. I need to write that person a letter. I can't tell y'all how many letters I have written. That's how I regulate my nervous system. I try to have a face-to-face conversation. I try to talk on the phone. If it doesn't work out, I say, you know what? Let me write to you. Let me write you an email. Let me write you a letter. I'll deliver it tomorrow. And then once you read it, we can talk about it. That's how I keep myself out of trouble. That's how I watch my mouth. That's how I make sure I'm not popping off. I'm not saying something, completely off pocket. No, I write you a letter. That's how I do it. Okay, so some of y'all need to develop that style because you don't know how to regulate yourself in the midst of an argument or a fight or a conflict. You let your emotions get the best of you, and that should not be the case. You take a break, you walk away, you come back, or you come back in an hour or two later that day or whatever you need to do. But, take a break. Take a break. That is the greatest tool that I have when it comes to conflict resolution. Only talk one at a time. If you are cutting over each other, if you are, trying to talk at the same time, nobody's hearing anybody. Nobody is really listening to anybody. You have to, be calm enough to say, okay, tell me your thoughts. Let's give it 1 or 2 minutes. I'm going to give you my thoughts. You can mirror. That's another great conflict resolution skill is the person tells you what they think or how they feel. You mirror back to them what they said. Am I right? Did I get it right? And then you go on to rebut. Okay, but there's lots of conflict resolution skills that we all should be learning. We need to learn some of these skills. Listening, how to be an active listener. That makes sense to me. How to validate the person. Okay, I see why you feel that way. Like, these are all skills that you can learn. And the truth is, most of us didn't learn them. Most of us were not taught them. Most of our families were dysfunctional. We come from dysfunctional families. So it's no wonder that we don't know how to talk to each other. Talk to the person like you love them. You say you love them. You say you care about this person, but you talk to them like a dog. You talk to them worse than a dog. So remember, I love this person. We're on the same team. I'm upset. I'm hurt. Something is bothering me. And I want to be understood. That's what effective communication is. Some of y'all don't care about none of that. You just talking crazy, getting it out of your system. You don't care that the other person completely missed what it was you were trying to say. It went clean over their head because your delivery was harsh. You cussed them out. You blamed them. You shamed them. You made it you instead of I. You didn't use I statements. You basically spent 10 minutes telling the person how awful they are and how horrible they are, and you blamed and shamed them. You told them how they felt, even though that's not your place to do. And you told them their intention, which is not your place to do. How many times do I have to tell people this? It's not your place to tell people what their intention was. Okay? Well, you meant to do that. You did that on purpose. And no. You can't tell that person their intention. All you can say is, this is what happened and this is how I felt about it. That's it. That's all you got. This is what happened and this is how I felt about it. And what do you think about that? How do you feel about that? That's it. That's the formula right there. Tell me what happened. Tell me how you felt about it or how you feel about it. And then ask the other person, what do you think about that? How do you feel about that? That's it. That's all you got. But we're using a lot of negative, ineffective communication skills. We have horrible conflict resolution styles, like the screaming, the yelling, the degrading language, the cursing each other out, using people's vulnerabilities. Like, this is what you do with someone you love? Like, come on. All you have to do is say, I love this person. We're on the same team. I love this person. I chose this person, right? Remember that. I chose this person. Like, how are you going to attack your teammate? That doesn't make any sense. So these are skills that I teach people all the time in coaching. These are skills that we're going to be learning soon in Skool. I want you to check out my Skool. And it is called Single Seeking Soulmate. It is for all the people who are ready to be their best selves and they are ready to find their best match. That is going to take a period of time and learning healthy skills, learning healthy tools. But Skool can also be a place where you find that person. So who knows, you might meet someone in our community. But this is for people who are truly serious about becoming their best self. They're really serious about getting better. So I hope this was helpful. If you are interested in Skool, the description is in the box below. If you are interested in working with me one-on-one, my link to my pillar is in the description below. I am still offering one-on-one sessions. Please like this video. Please share it with anyone you think could benefit from it. I so appreciate all of your support for the channel. Thank you so much. If you're not following me on Instagram, please go over there and follow Better Love Movement. Thank you. Have a great day. And as always, stay open to love.